Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Good, good. Yes, so we have a couple of minutes. So we're going
Sure.
to wait until a few more people join. I see we have Karina joining us.
Yay! Hey, Karina.
Hello, Karina. Good morning. Thank you for joining. So I hope it's been a good, what is this, Tuesday? Tuesday morning for you.
Awesome Tuesday. Awesome
Yes.
Tuesday. Yes. Been busy already getting my newsletter going out soon.
Ooh,
Already scheduled, ready to go.
awesome.
Doing some new social posts coming up to everybody. So
Great.
super, super excited.
Yes. So that's some interesting information to share, of course.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of good information for today.
Exactly. So as we get started, I
Love it.
just wanted to let's see who's joining us. So we have Christian and Melvin.
Yep.
So hello to them.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for joining. All right, so let's get started.
Let's do it.
Okay, so welcome, Marie. Thank you for joining me today on Tip Tuesday. We will discuss the importance of bookkeeping for small businesses.
Yes.
And so just so everyone knows, Marie is a CPA out of the Miami area. Her focus is providing value-added strategies to business owners across the U.S. Is that correct, Marie?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, so why don't you share with us, just get started by sharing a little bit with us about that, because it's a bit of a non-traditional approach to, what CPAs tend to structure their business model
Yes.
off of.
Yes. Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate that. So yeah, when I started my CPA firm January 2020, what I wanted to do is bring in my auditor experience and a controller and CFO experience as a combined service line to business owners. So, we still do the traditional, bookkeeping and accounting and financial statements preparation, but my aim is to actually, guide business owners that have already reached their first million, and then that's when things become a little bit more complicated, and to get them to that next 10 million. I've created my own model, I would say, or framework that I use, that's called Valuation MT. And it's a framework where I get the business owner first with a business valuation to see where they are at compared to the industry, and then set up all the different processes to get them to that next 10 million. So this doesn't happen overnight, obviously, but it gets through a process over a period of time based on how much of the records and everything else is available. It could be 6 months, just getting all the pieces together. Not that we're going to get them to 10 million in 6 months, but just to put all the right pieces together and continuously support them with all the information they need to get there. So one of the key things, which kind of brings me back to the key point we want to talk about today, is that bookkeeping is so overlooked. Most business owners feel that, it's in QuickBooks. I've heard this so many times, and it hurts me because I look in QuickBooks and it's a complete mess. I have to charge $3,000 to $4,000 to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that if they could actually hire an accountant such as yourself that knows what they're doing, or a firm like mine, wherever the location is, someone that they can feel comfortable working with and it's going to support them, give them value throughout, more than just bookkeeping, they should spend the money now. Because if you have all your records properly set up, then you will not have an issue in growing your business and getting your taxes done.
Exactly, which is the ultimate goal. At the end of the day, the tax return is, what all of this leads up to. And so if your bookkeeping isn't in good shape and good order, then what information do you have to provide to your tax professional? So that's a very interesting and great point to start out with. So yeah, let's get into a little bit more of, the bookkeeping aspect. So, a lot of small businesses, like you say, they'll get the QuickBooks, enter information in, even having an accountant just to review the information on a quarterly basis is important. You want to, especially starting out when you're not really familiar with those business deductions that benefit your business, you want to have someone to at least give it a review to let you know what things are important, which things are bringing value to your business, that's maximizing those tax deductions that you discussed, and putting your business in a good position to be financially stable and secure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Someone who's just starting out and they want to try to do the DIY way, is what I call the DIY bookkeeping. It's all well and good, but it gets to a point where, do you really know what you're putting into where you're putting things? Because, bookkeeping, even in QuickBooks, it goes through at least 4 of these steps, right? Like, we want to make sure the chart of accounts is set up properly for that specific industry. Yes, QuickBooks provides you a pile of, chart of account, codes, general ledger accounts, but they may not be applicable to what that specific business is about. So we want to make sure that is actually it's being used the correct accounts. And then, of course, the categorization. A lot of times, most people think that once they link the bank to QuickBooks, it's done. The information is there. Well, technically, let's clarify this. The information is sitting in a holding tank.
Yes.
It's called just a location where it sits until somebody reviews. That's why there's 3 tabs says for review, and exclude.
Exactly.
Right?
And you want to make sure you're using that exclude button, because you don't want to accidentally put those items in a category that are taxable when they're truly not.
Yes, exactly. And of course, the next one that most DIY business owners miss is reconciliation, right? They say, well, but it's coming from the bank already. Why should I? What is reconciliation? Yes. I think I've actually explained this to a gentleman a few times, and he had a very hard time understanding. I said, the software can be faulty. There could be missing transactions, or it could be duplication because you linked and unclinked and not, all that stuff. The reconciliation makes sure that everything that's in the system is actually correct, and you match them up to everything that the bank is saying. And at the end, you make sure that it's reconciled. And it does seem to be a difficult point, but it is a very important one, because many times you've seen duplicate transactions that we got to now exclude, or a transaction that's missing that we have to now journalize it, because we have to capture that transaction. I'm sure you've seen quite a few of those.
Oh yes, I've seen that quite a bit myself, especially when you're using the invoicing function in QuickBooks. You're creating your invoices, and QuickBooks may be automatically applying your payments as they hit the bank account, and you may not be aware, and you're entering those deposits when you're either putting the money in the bank or going through your reconciliation process. So now you're doubling your income, because you didn't realize that QuickBooks actually had done that work for you, and it was actually a step that you could omit in your process.
Absolutely, exactly. When you are invoicing through QuickBooks, that's exactly what happens. There's an automatic entry that kind of captures the payment that came in. So when a client is receiving their invoice and they put in their ACH or credit card information, QuickBooks is processing. It auto posts to saying, hey, we got the money, we got paid for this invoice. So then you see it again in a transaction in the bank feed. And most people just accept it again to revenue. It's like, whoa, we just duplicated it.
Yes. So one thing I'd like to touch on are contractors.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of people, even just starting out, they're bringing contractors into their business, whether
Yes.
they're just a
Yes.
one-time use for a project that they're doing, or someone
Sure.
that they're working with on a regular basis. So when it comes to the accounts payable process,
Sure.
and you're paying out these contractors for the services that they provide, the issue I run into on the tax side is when they hit that $600 mark
Mm-hmm.
and want to write off those payments on their tax return as expenses, are
Mm-hmm.
you issuing 1099s to those individuals for the work that they've provided to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something very important, right? So there is a process, even if the business owner is using QuickBooks or any other form to kind of do the 1099, even if it's manual, you still have to pull that data out for each and every vendor, make sure that you have either their EIN or their social security number based on how the vendor is working, right, under their personal social or the EIN.
Exactly.
And then issue the 1099s. That's something that needs to be reported to the IRS. You know, one document goes to the IRS, one stays with the business owner as a copy, and another one to the vendor, so that they have all their data and the support for themselves to file their taxes. So it's a very, very important step.
Yes, and it's missed all the time. People are just making payments and thinking, you know, I'm running the business, you know, and it's something that's not always talked about and discussed. And so I've been making it a point to share with my clients as those returns come in and those contract labor expenses start to increase. Like, you might want to start issuing those W-9s so that
Absolutely.
you can issue 1099s at year end to validate your expense on the tax return. So
Absolutely.
yes, I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I think if they create a process where as soon as they have a new vendor slash contractor and they immediately ask for the W-9, and if the person doesn't have it, then send them a form, have them fill it out, and don't do anything until you set the vendor in whatever system you're using properly.
Exactly.
Payment. And then of course there's that next level of information they have to check, because if it's a C corporation, they don't have to issue a 1099, right? But if it's a sole proprietor or an LLC or any other, they would need to make sure to click that say track 1099. And of course, let's say in QuickBooks, that process is fairly simplified because you can file the 1099s through. But if your process is well and you're setting everything up from the beginning the right way, then, you know, the time comes, all you have to do is click a few buttons and they can DIY that process if they don't want to do, you know, hire someone. But it's all about the process. And at any stage in time, they will need someone, an accountant, a CPA that at least does that quarterly review, like you mentioned. That's very important to make sure it's being done correctly, at least.
Exactly, because everyone knows that just starting out, you know, you may not have the resources to hire in a bookkeeper full time, or even hire in an accountant to do all of the work for you. But you definitely want to have someone in your corner to support your business, to help you get things rolling in the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's a very important process. And then the same thing too, like for example, as I mentioned, that chart of accounts thing, it's important about even the contractors that you're properly coding them as well. You know, what kind of service, maybe it may not be as important from a tax perspective, but if we want to see if as a business growth planning and trying to see what kind of contractor work were done, you know, for example, was it for marketing? Was it for advertising? Was it for legal, right? Was it for what kind of contracted work it was? So that is more of a, you know, because I see sometimes how some business owners bulk everything in one, you know, general ledger called say contractors.
Yes.
That's all great, but what service did they do? That doesn't tell me anything. When I come in as a CFO to review, I'm like, okay, I have the detail, pull up all the information, and then start asking the business owner, who is this? What does he do? What does she do? What is that? And then try to figure out where the expenses are going.
Exactly. And this goes back to the value add point. You know,
Yeah.
are they adding value to your business? Is this someone that you
Mm-hmm.
need working with you on a long-term basis who's going to help your business to grow and succeed? So if you're not documenting and lumping everyone into contract labor, you don't even know if this vendor is, you know, worth having associated with your business.
Right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then in some cases, I even, you know, I like to see, for example, which contract workers are directly related to revenue. So I would change the chart of accounts for that specific code, the general ledger account, to say, I want to put this part of cost of goods or cost of labor, right? Because I want it in the next layer where it's really giving me the correct gross profit versus, let's say, legal, accounting, and marketing and advertising. Those are all operational expenses. So any contractors within that range have to be in the operating section. But these are stuff that a business owner doing the DIY accounting is not going to know. And they need someone like us to at least review and then guide and set it up the right way so that as they grow, they have everything in the right place, in the right order. And then growth projections are going to be a lot easier.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. You know, all of these tips that we've shared this morning are extremely important, extremely valuable. And if there's anyone out there who's watching us live or watching us on a replay, tell us, Marie, how can we find you? How can we, you know, get started with looking into some of those value-added services and learning more about them?
Yes, absolutely. So I am pretty much on every platform. You know, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Marie Torossian CPA. My Twitter is slightly different, but you will be able to find Marie Torossian. I'm there. I also have my YouTube channel, which I'm doing every Thursday at 10 a.m. EST. I have a coffee time with Marie, and I share even more information. It's about a 30-minute segment. And I welcome everyone to sign on. So we go live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube at the same time. So every Thursday, 10 a.m. EST.
Great. All right. So we'll be sure to follow you on YouTube. Check out some of the valuable information that you share. Are there any specials or promotions that you're running at this time?
Well, we don't have any specific specials or promotions. The way I work is slightly different than other CPA firms. I'm all about the value, and then with my clients, I usually provide them different packages for the type of service or a combination of services so that they can pick and choose the right fit. So the best way is to go through a full questions and be able to give them the proper customized solution, which is what I go for.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Marie. We will
Thank
definitely
you.
have to do this again.
Absolutely.
We can share some more details.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes. If you have any questions about what we've shared today, would like to dig into the details, learn a little bit more, please leave some comments. We'll be sure to answer.
Absolutely.
And I'll catch you next Tuesday.
See you then.
See you then.
Bye.